when it comes to growing plants in the southern heat, especially during spring and summertime, of course, I think about using tropicals, and there's a reason for that because we're so hot and humid that a lot of flowers like geraniums and such will burn out in the heat of summertime because it's just so intensely hot. Remember, it's not only hot during the day, it's also pretty hot at night. That's what tropicals love. They love that hot humidity. Now, there's different types of tropicals. There's some for full sun, some for part shade, and of course, some for shade. So if you're looking for hot plants that grow in hot sun, then you want to go ahead and use like palms. I love the Chinese fan palm. There's the majestic palm. And one of my favorites, because it's so nice and soft and airy, is the Phoenix Robidini palm. These are all easy to grow and relatively very inexpensive. Of course, when it comes to full sun, a lot of us are drawn to mandevillias, which are a vine, and also the hot hibiscus, which comes in such assortment of various colors. Now I'll mix that with other annuals for a big impact. But don't overlook other tropical plants that we consider house plants, but believe it or not, they grow great in shady areas in your yard. Because if you have deep shade, it's hard to get impatiens or flower annuals to bloom, so foliage plants are preferred. Like we have the pothos, which is variegated. We have the crotons, which is tense color, and they come in so many different varieties. And don't even forget about dracaenas, like this lemon lime dracaena. It's beautiful. And last but not least, I love bromeliads as well. The key thing is go to your garden center, ask questions, know what direction your sun is, and overall they'll help you design the perfect container or the perfect tropical plant to help soften and fluff up your yard. They're not winter hardy, so you might want to go ahead and plant them still in their pot, and then you lift that up and you bring it in the garage or indoors in the summertime. As a nursery owner, of course, we prefer you buy new ones every year.
I feel like fire ants have been out more this year than ever. I've noticed them in my landscaping, and I've never really noticed it before.
Well, you know, they're not originally from Arkansas. They came from deep south up, and they're spreading. So what happens is you're working in the yard, and suddenly you start feeling a fire on your ankles or your legs. And the thing about fire ants is they don't bite just once. They continue to bite.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, they're just nice, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, they are so kind. Right.
And I'm going to show you different ways you can. First, you got to understand them. They do migrate, and it's all about the queen. So if you can kill the queen inside of their mounds, which is usually deep down, then that usually will demise the whole entire colony and it starts to die out.
Okay.
So it's not too hard to get rid of them. A few products that are on the market. First thing is you can go, and this one's called Come and Get It.
Come and Get It.
Come and Get It. And what you do is you sprinkle it on top of the mound. Now, mind you, don't disturb the mound because people think if they open it and then pour it in, it doesn't work that way because they'll move on to a different area.
Okay.
So sprinkle it on top of the mound and about 4 foot wide around the mound.
Right.
And then what they do is they take this poison down into the queen, feed the queen dies, and the other ants start to feed on it, and you got rid of the colony within 7 to 14 days.
That sounds so manipulative.
Now, if you got them all over your yard, you can go ahead and put this in a spreader, get a bigger bag, and spread it all over your yard as well.
And I do feel like you don't have just one mound. It seems like if there's one, there's another
There is, and they also can live in your flower pots and that type of thing. There's also Dalmatian earth, which is actually very safe for humans. It is, to us, feels like baby powder, but to ants, it's like little shards of glass, and it cuts their exoskeletons.
This is so,
I know, it's sad. And
like a true crime show right now.
But I got a secret weapon.
Okay.
Something that is actually safe for the environment and safe for us. Grits.
Okay.
Okay, so if you take your grits, just good old home grits.
Good old southern grits. You said these are from the south.
From the, yeah, and just go like this all over your mound.
Okay.
And what happens is the fire ants get so excited because it's food. So they're going to take this to the queen and feed it to the queen. And what happens when they digest it, it expands and explodes, so that kills the queen and the colony all safely.
This sounds like a murder show. What kind of show do we have?
So basically, this is their last meal.
Thank goodness they aren't really this big.
No,
that would be terrifying.
We'd be in big trouble. But anyhow, if you do this, and right now they're really bad, eventually you will get control of it. And then watch where you buy your plants, because sometimes they come when you buy the plants. You can't always help it.
Gotcha.
That's how they came into the country.
You are the man when it comes to all things garden related, and you're going to give us some tips this morning on what we can do in terms of your irrigation, some water 101.
Yeah, we got 10 main tips for you, and we're going to put them up on the screen as well for you. The first one, of course, is water early in the morning. You know, people always say, when do you water? And there's a reason for that. If you water early in the morning, then the foliage dries out when the morning sun comes up.
Right.
And that means you have less chance for disease and fungus.
Oh, we hate that.
You hate that because that can be a costly thing. So you want to do that. That's number one. And also, if you have containers, you want to check your containers daily.
Okay.
A lot of people have a routine. They water every third day. Well, that doesn't work right now with the heat. So check them daily. If they're moist, don't water. But if they get on the dry side, soak them really well.
Okay.
And then 3, water less often but thoroughly. For example, I have some trees I just planted at home. A sprinkler system will only water a couple inches. It doesn't water really deep. So I take my hose and I wait 3 to 4 minutes watering those deeply. We want to do like 30 seconds and go, but you want to water them deeply. That makes a big difference.
Okay.
Also, we were talking about it, keep the leaves dry. So when you can, try to water the root ball, not the foliage.
Got it. Okay, so you're saying get low to the ground, close to the actual dirt, not the leaves of the plant. Okay.
If you can.
All
so
right,
you want to do that.
Tip.
Don't broadcast sprinklers if possible. I mean, if you don't want a sprinkler that broadcasts water everywhere, now that's hard if you have an automatic sprinkler system. That's why we water in the morning. Again, if you can water deeply in the ground, you're going to be better off. Remember, trees do need water.
Okay.
So a sprinkler system that's on for 3 to 5 minutes a day or every other day will not water your trees deeply. So sometimes I go through extra zones. When I get home, I'll turn my system, go through an extra zone, or I'll go ahead and put a sprinkler out there on a hose just to water those deeply.
Just for the trees?
That's correct.
Okay.
Water in high places, don't use a ladder. It's logical because when people water on ladders, water drips down and they slip, and people have died from doing that. Get a water wand. We're all about safety here.
Water
so we want to
wands.
make sure.
I need one of those.
And then we got mulch your flower beds at least once a year, and don't be stingy. Do 3 to 4 inches because that keeps moisture in. And last but not least, just make sure you water. We call au naturel. That doesn't mean you do it in the nude. Okay?
Thank you for clarifying that. I really appreciate that. I was really concerned for a second.
If you can
My neighbors weren't going to like that.
Well, maybe, you don't know. But you know what I do is I have rain barrels. I also have runoff on my roof. I don't have gutters, so I have a cow trough, so it fills it up every time it rains. I take my bucket, I water that way.
I love it. Recycling the water. Excellent. That's a good way to cut back on your water bill. So in terms of specific types of plants, how do you distinguish between how much plant gets how much water? Is there a good rule of thumb?
That's a good question. Plants will tell you. Okay, if they start looking stressed or wilting, then you want to water them deeply. They're telling you what they need. If they're starting to defoliate, if your trees are starting to defoliate, they need water.
I hope Ashley's listening.
I don't know if she's going to take our advice.
She won't.
But also remember this, if the plant is wilting and you water deeply and it keeps wilting, you may be over-watering the plant.
Oh, okay. You can drown it.
You got to watch out for that too.
Okay, excellent. Okay.
You know, I like to repurpose things, and here's what I found out with a lot of my clients. A lot of them have portable fire pits.
Oh.
And what do you do with a fire pit in Arkansas in the summertime? You either cover it and leave it covered as a focal point on your patio, or you put it in your garage or something like that. And so we're going to pretend this is a fire pit, okay?
All right.
And what I do is I transform my fire pits spring and summer into water gardens. Easy, low maintenance, and low cost. So if this is our fire pit, most portable fire pits have holes so that rainwater doesn't collect in it. Okay, so if it does, then you see this pot has a hole. You can buy plugs, these rubber little plugs at the hardware store. You first silicone around the tips, shove that in, and silicone all on top of it, schmooze it all around, and let it dry for 24 hours. Once you do that, you fill it up with a little bit of water, make sure it does not leak. If that's okay, then I usually would take pea gravel. And this pea gravel is usually kind of dirty, so sometimes I will wash it with a hose. I'll open it up and poke some holes in it.
It does
put the
look
hose
dirty
in.
in
Yeah,
there.
it is dirty. And then I would, you know, if we weren't in the weather garden, I would do it. I fill it up about 3 or 4 inches from the bottom, because then these type of plants, water plants that we're going to set in here, it's all level for them. Now, once you do that, then you can pick any type of water plants that you want. And what's cool about this is, like at Plantopia, we already have pre-done mixtures of water plants. This is the pitcher plant.
And I think this is so pretty.
Isn't that beautiful? And it takes care of mosquitoes and flies in the
Oh,
garden.
and it's even prettier.
It's even prettier. And then you can go ahead and put that in. These are all in pots. If you want to do a water iris or papyrus grass, you can put that in. And then a log in there. And then even water lilies. These water lilies are easy little carry baskets.
Oh.
You only need one. Take off the little hanger, put it in, and that will float and fill up the pot or the fire pit. So you have yourself a little water garden. Now, you're probably going to ask me, what about mosquitoes? Were you going to ask that question?
Well, I
You weren't?
should.
Well, you can get the little water donuts, which you put in, water features, and it doesn't affect birds, wildlife, or plants, and that keeps the mosquito larvae from developing. Or I get a couple of cheap goldfish, and they'll eat them, so you have the little fish. Now, if you don't want to go through all of that, because you're going to have to take this down when you're using it in fall.
And then you got to figure out what to do with the goldfish.
Well, all you got to do is leave the hole unplugged, fill it with some river rock, then just take like some wood logs and put them like a teepee. Okay, this is for a shade area. Then all you do is plant amongst them orange bromeliads with the logs coming up, and it looks like flames. It looks like a fire. See? And yes, and so you can have a really cool look. That's how you can reuse your fire pits.
I love it. And these, my brother lives in Hawaii, and so when I see these, I think of him right away.
And they're easy to grow. But remember, when you're doing bromeliads, now you can do other types of flowers, you need shade for that. And that's it.
Well, another creative opportunity, and not too heavy. I can carry something like this or make you carry it to my house.
Yes. Well, fire pits are normally metal and light metal, so they're easier to remove too. That even you can do.
No.
Yeah, I'm going to put you to
It's
we're
a
gonna put you
wonder
to the
that
test.
plant has not died while in my presence, because I kill this stuff.
So does Ashley, so you're all right.
Okay.
Okay.
So I could do this.
Yeah,
huh?
this is really cool because these are new doolies, and that type of thing, and lace and stuff like that. But if you have your grandmother's vintage, and what are you going to do with it? We don't use it nowadays.
Right.
You have to sacrifice them a little bit, but you can create your own custom looking pots inexpensively, and we blend the old with the new.
When did you come up with this idea?
Well, I've done this before for a client who she had all the stuff from her grandmother and she didn't know what to do with it. So we created a whole collection in her dining room on her console table and glued it and painted them, and now she uses them every day.
Chris, this is genius.
Yeah, so I'll show you what we're gonna do. All right, so you take you can use any type of pot you want, but terracotta is inexpensive and it's a good contrast. And what you do is you can find, if you want to do your lace ribbon, you can cut it and use it as a rim, around the rim there. But we're gonna take this, and it's real simple. You're gonna take glue, Elmer's glue.
Sure.
And it's 1 part glue to 2 parts water. So you put that in a bowl. And you usually want to put it in a disposable bowl because you want to throw this away when you're done with it. Mix it all up. So what you're going to do is I'm going to hold on to the pot, and you're going to go ahead and put some glue on here.
Oh.
Okay, down here.
Right there.
Okay, let's try it. There's no retakes on live TV. So, okay.
Told you.
All right, now go ahead and put the glue over the top of that too, nice and smooth.
Over the doily?
Yep, over the doily.
Okay. I'm learning something here. Sweet.
Okay, now it looks like a mess right now because it is.
Yeah.
But we're great about this glue is we mix it with water, it's a thinner consistency. It will dry clear, so it eventually.
How fast is it dry? Because I'm going to have to wipe the excess off here.
I'm just going to throw that away. Sorry, I'll write this off. Or I'll bill you for it, I'm not sure. Okay, so this is dry now, and it takes just a couple hours, Craig. That's all it takes.
Look
but
at
yes,
that.
technically
Look
you
at
can
that.
wipe off the excess if you want.
Sure.
Now, and you do that, and you can do like the stripes. It's whatever you desire. I think this one's really cool. Look at this small one. So what I did is I just cut them in half, and I used them that way. And then if you want, you can spray paint your pot.
Here we go.
I'm not trusting you with this.
No.
Okay.
No.
But anyhow, any color you want. So once it's dry, you can use whatever color you want.
Look at you.
And look how that changes the whole entire look. Now it doesn't look so like grandma. It looks a little bit more, hip and updated.
So you've taken a plain old dull terracotta pot.
That's right.
And added charm to it in a matter of minutes.
Yes. And if you buy these new, you can buy them for like $1 at the dollar store. So technically, you could do this whole project for just a couple bucks. Makes a perfect gift.